Buildings and structures are one of the most important elements of the societies. Our cities, roads, and other structures existed to supply the humans' needs. Houses are built to be our shelters. Roads and other types of buildings exist to support various requirements. We can't deny the fact that modern constructions and infrastructures facilitate our lives one way or another. By using highways, we can access any place faster than before, and living in a nice and cozy house is what we appreciate by the end of a tiresome day at work. Buildings and constructions have gone through several changes throughout architecture history. The first ever houses were built by use of stone, and later on in history, bricks and mortars were used in architecture. In 1853, François Coignet, a French industrialist, for the first time used a new type of material called reinforced concrete to build his house. Since that time, most of the buildings and structures are constructed using the same method introduced by him more than 150 years ago. In recent years, with the introduction of 3D printing technology, the technology has become prevalent in numerous industries, such as architecture. There are some advantages in using 3D printing technology, and with new 3D printers, materials such as concrete can be printed that can make concrete 3D printed buildings and structures superior to traditional method of concrete construction. The 3D printing technology, which is also called the additive manufacturing, is a way of manufacturing by adding layers of materials on top of each other to create and form an object. Before 3D printers being able to create the object, the desired 3D form and shape of the end product must be designed in a 3D modeling programs such as computer-aided design, abbreviated for CAD. Also, a favorable object before being printed can be scanned using a 3D scanner. Various materials such as metal, paper, plastics, filaments, and powders can be used to print the objects. The 3D printing machines are so fascinating that even they can print foods, and this could revolutionize food industry and the scarcity of the food in some countries on earth which struggle with this paucity. The 3D printed foods will be the topic of one of the channel's future videos. In recent years, there have been a handful of constructions and buildings created by use of 3D printing technology. The 3D printer machines are brought to construction sites and start printing reinforced concrete on site. This makes a job easier for architects and construction workers. One of these projects are the houses that will be built in Eindhoven, the Netherlands. Eindhoven University of Technology is going to build these residential buildings which consist of 5 separated houses, and the first one will be built sometime in the late 2019 or early 2020. The remaining residential villas are planned to be constructed in the following 5 years. Earlier, the Eindhoven University of Technology built the world's first 3D printed concrete bridge in the Netherlands in late 2017. The bridge was made using pre-made concrete blocks 3D printed by robots. In near future, more architecture companies will use 3D printing method to construct buildings and structures all around the world. China would be one of those countries that could popularize the technique more profoundly. Due to the country's enormous size and massive population, this way of construction could come in handy. You may well ask, what are the advantages and benefits of using concrete 3D printers to build our houses and other types of structures? We will take a look at the differences and advantages of using the method compared to the conventional method, which is more common now in the architecture industry. The 3D printed construction could be a solution to the problems including higher costs of construction, labor, quality and sustainability, construction speed, safety, and ability to create various shapes that would not be possible by using conventional method of construction. The main problem with current approach in construction is that the industry that worth $10 trillion globally, which makes it one of the largest industries in the world, lacks productivity compared to other industries. For comparison, agriculture and manufacturing sectors since 1950s have increased their productivity 10 to 15 times. In contrast, construction industry has not seen much of a change for almost 80 years. The reason behind this is that manufacturing and other industries mastered the use of digital and automation technologies while construction remains significantly manual, needing a lot of labor to make buildings and constructions is the main reason houses and other types of buildings are expensive. Due to the fact that the people who construct the structures go through lots of hard physical work, also they risk their lives constructing buildings. Making buildings being costly would result in expensive properties which make it difficult for low-income and even middle-class people to purchase an even a small-sized house. Of course, a land value includes in a house price, but conventional construction approach to build houses cannot be denied as the main factor in property's high price tag. The labor, waste and time invested utilizing the outdated construction system, which is used commonly by many architecture companies and corporations, have to be fundamentally upgraded to tackle housing problems all around the world. With these in mind, a revolution in the architecture industry is essential, and the 3D printing architecture could be the transformation needed to dramatically increase the quality of the modern buildings and constructions. To better understand the process of building a 3D printed house, a detailed yet simplified elucidation is required. As already mentioned, different materials can be printed by 3D printers, such as filaments, metals, concrete and more. But here we will take a look into how concrete 3D printer functions, because most of a building and construction are made based on reinforced concrete. A concrete 3D printer, like any other 3D printer, has 3 axes. Those axes are called X, Y, and Z. The X-axis moves lengthwise on the rails, which moves the printer's arm back and forth. The Y-axis moves between the X-axis but in opposite direction. For simplification, imagine X as a dash and Y as another dash which passes the X dash and forms a plus sign. The Z-axis is the height of the pillars of the 3D printer which carry the nozzle. To operate the concrete 3D printer, experienced and professional constructors must be present to supervise the concrete 3D printer. Before arrival of the printer, construction location has to be prepared for it. The construction site has to be flattened for 3D printer so that the rails for the printer can be installed. In addition to creating a flat surface, the concrete 3D printer foundations are needed before the process of printing concrete can start. After all these preparations wrapped up and finished, the next phase is to install the concrete printer on the rails and set up the pillars and inspect and control all 3 axes. The horizontal metal beam of the printer possesses the nozzle and a robotic arm. They are located across the pillars of the concrete 3D printer. When a 3D design of a building is ready, designers or architects convert the blueprint into G-code and dispatch it to the concrete 3D printer. Afterwards, the concrete material for 3D printer is brought by a normal concrete truck to the construction field. Then the concrete truck connects to the printer's nozzle via a big hose. During the 3D printing process of construction, the reinforcement and electrical installations of the walls are done. These operations can be done as a result of recent developments of companies which are experts in concrete 3D printing. These advancements and progresses in concrete 3D printing technology have helped to create special methods of wall reinforcement that make bare concrete walls even stronger than what they normally are. Moreover, a robotic hand located alongside the nozzle installs pre-manufactured window frames and ceilings. To be able to successfully print buildings, the concrete for the 3D printer has to be made in a precise and special manner compared to conventional concrete. The 3D printer's concrete mix has to contain 2 important traits, which are maximal buildability when concrete is poured, and also flowability of the concrete mix to make sure that the nozzle does not get clogged. These features make the concrete layers harden swiftly, but at the same time remaining liquid enough to blend and connect with new layers. This quality can be attained for concrete mix by containing perfect amount of chemicals such as superplasticizers. The purpose of superplasticizers is to reduce water in a concrete mix. Moreover, there are various additives that are added into the concrete mix. For instance, fiber is added to the mix to improve the strength of the concrete. One of the most leading and prominent methods of concrete 3D printing is called contour crafting. The contour crafting is utilized in the construction of multi-story buildings and also construction in a space. Now let's elaborate on advantages of 3D printing way of construction and find out how it benefits one of the most fundamental aspects of the modern society, which is architecture. When it comes to any project planning, regardless of it being the building of a new industrial machine, a software, or a new model of a car, the cost of construction is the first thing that comes to the project manager's minds. Reducing the costs of a project as much as possible while keeping the quality high is of great importance. This would be a really hard task to achieve, but with advancement of the technologies, it has become easier to reach that goal. There are a handful of affordable 3D printed houses built mostly to help social housing being more accessible for lower income families. The lower cost of construction is the main reason behind the affordability. It is important to give you an example of how much is the cost of building a studio-sized 3D printed house. A house called Apiscores was built in Russia by a Russian architecture company called Apiscore using the robotic 3D printers. The house size is 410 square foot, roughly 38 square meters, and it costed approximately $10,150 to be constructed. The detailed costs of the house given by the Russian firm are: foundation of the house for just $277, the walls costed the company $1,624, floor and roof in total costed around $2,434. Interior and exterior finishing cost altogether roughly $2,000. Wiring of the house just costed $242, and windows and doors were the most expensive parts of the house to be built, with the cost of $3,548. To know how much construction costs have been reduced using concrete 3D printing, a comparison of costs and expenses has to be made with the conventional concrete method of construction. However, it has to be stated that the costs would vary based on a building's location, which could be the country in which the construction is built, and also the neighborhood the building is going to be constructed. Moreover, let's assume that most of the houses are built using reinforced concrete. Additionally, the comparison will be made only between cost of construction of small houses, so larger buildings and structures will be dismissed due to the lack of information regarding big urban planning or constructions utilizing 3D printing method. The reason is that there are not too many buildings have been made using the concrete 3D printers. Majority of the buildings made by concrete 3D printers are either small houses or offices. In regard to these assumptions and estimations, an approximate conclusion can be made regarding the costs of construction performing traditional method of buildings, houses and structures. To build a concrete house, which is around 430 square feet or 40 square meters, on average it costs $150 per square foot. With simple multiplication, the house amounts to $64,500. The price also includes labor costs. If the average cost of building a house using conventional method of construction, using concrete divided by the construction cost of the example, such as Apiscor's 3D printed concrete house in Russia, the result shows that to build a small house of 40 square meters or 430 square feet applying traditional method of construction would cost roughly 6 times more than building a house exerting the concrete 3D printing technique. As already stated, all of the amounts are average and guesstimated, so in some cases the costs will vary. But as a general rule, it seems that building a small 3D printed concrete house will cost significantly less than constructing it by the conventional method of building concrete houses. One of the most important elements in building houses and other types of constructions is labor, which consists of designers, architects, the construction workers, and other types of workers that directly and indirectly cooperate with each other to make buildings and constructions. In order to build an average-sized house using traditional method of construction, between 26 to 32 construction workers are needed. These workers are excavators, concrete workers, framers, electricians, and plumbers, to name a few. These are the people who have to work on site. In addition to that, a house before it would be built must be approved by an authority or agent called certifier. The certifier works on behalf of municipality to make sure that a house is being built according to approved plans, engineering requirements, and building standards on the related location where the house is being constructed. Regarding building concrete 3D printed houses, the necessity of having too many construction workers would be alleviated and reduced, mainly because most of the physical tasks are done by the concrete 3D printer. The printer can replace many jobs such as building the foundation, walls, ceilings, and windows and doors framing. The concrete 3D printers are lighter and more mobile than conventional construction machineries such as cranes, and the printers can be used in hazardous areas or on remote sites where prefabrication would be inoperative. The labor that concrete 3D printer needs are the operators who control the 3D printer, and majority of the remaining tasks would be done by concrete 3D printer. Quality and sustainability of the buildings and structures play an important role in building sustainable societies and cities. Hence, it is crucial that a new technology would be able to improve quality and sustainability in the architecture industry. As stated, concrete is the most prevalent material used to construct buildings. Therefore, for the video's topic, only the quality and sustainability of the concrete is addressed. The main part of a material quality is based on the amount of waste produced when a house is being constructed. When concrete waste decreases, the quality of materials will be increased, and in result makes the substance sustainable for the people and environment. Construction waste is very common when a house is being built. According to studies done in the USA, approximately 30% of the building materials weight would become the construction waste. In 2003, in the United States alone, the amount of demolition and construction waste produced was about 170 million tons, of which 48% was recovered. In the European Union, 450 million tons of waste is generated every year, and from this amount, 75% of it is being landfilled. These figures put the construction waste in the third place regarding industries with the biggest waste production. The first and second place go to mining and farm wastes. However, it is important to note that concrete and brick masonry have the largest potential for recycling in the building sector. The accuracy of these has been supported by thorough research conducted across the United States, the United Kingdom, China, Brazil, Korea, and Hong Kong, which compared the types and volumes of construction waste in these countries. It is important to note that with change in construction technique, the amount of waste and composition can be drastically varied. Using concrete 3D printing technology could be the new way to reduce waste even further. According to various studies, the 3D printing will decrease the hazardous impacts of construction sector on the environment. According to some pundits, up to 50% of the raw materials used by 3D printers are made from recycled materials. Moreover, because of capability of 3D printers to create complex shapes such as overhangs and folds will in result allow contractors to use less materials in the first place, which eventuate in less waste. These advantages help the 3D printing technology to have an edge over conventional method of construction regarding sustainability and quality. The construction speed is another substantial criterion when it comes to building houses and structures. A speedy and swift method of construction could save a lot of costs that could provide housing for the people in need of urgent housing and shelter. Typically, to build a personalized house using the conventional method of construction would take up to 6 months, depending on the size and environmental factors. However, to build a custom house utilizing the traditional procedure could take anywhere between 10 to 16 months, depending on its size and considering that everything goes according to plan. The building process includes legal procedure, excavation, building concrete forms until the last phases of construction, which are finishing plumbing, wiring, painting the house, and floor coverings. Regarding the concrete 3D printing method, building a small size house will only take 24 hours. Yes, you heard it correctly. To build a house, you just need 1 day to start and will finish the construction by the end of the same day. This is how fast the concrete 3D printers are. To give examples, Icon, the single-story 75 square meter house in Texas, was built in just under 24 hours, with the cost of less than $4,000. The more extraordinary achievement was done in Shenzhen, China, by a company called Vinsun. The firm built 10 buildings together in just 24 hours, and these structures are being rented out as office spaces. The construction speed in 3D printing method can definitely vary with the building's size, but it doesn't change the fact that the concrete 3D printers are extremely faster than conventional method of construction, which mostly using manual labor. The same company Vinsun built a 2-story villa in just 45 days. Imagine how much time would it take to build a villa with the same size using traditional construction technique. Safety at work is the foundation of every job, especially when it comes to construction. Lack of safety at construction sites could lead to injury and even death. According to a report from Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, in the USA in the year 2017, out of 4,674 worker fatalities in private industry, 971 or 20.7% were in construction. The casualties happened in 4 areas in construction. Out of 971 fatalities, 381 or 39.2% of them caused by workers falling down. The second most common cause of death was workers being struck by objects. This resulted in death of 80 construction workers. The subsequent reason of fatality originated from electrocutions. This caused the death of 71 workers in 2017 in the United States. And the last cause of casualties was workers being killed when caught in or compressed by equipment or objects. This resulted in 50 deaths. The rest of fatalities came from various reasons that can be related to trauma, fatigue, and exhaustion that may lead to malfunctioning of organs and death. According to the report, eliminating the fatal 4 could save the lives of 582 workers in America every year. Also, according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, the construction industry has the highest rate of work-related injuries. Automating most of the labor work applying the 3D printing method could save lots of workers' lives and improve the construction industry's safety. Using big concrete 3D printers that can finish the tasks in an impressively faster time could reduce manual labor involvement in construction projects regardless of their size and scale. Advanced concrete 3D printers can even do the most precise and complex tasks such as wiring and other difficult duties using their robotic arms. These printers only need people to control them and to steer concrete 3D printers to do their tasks by use of computers and remote controls. Moreover, automizing construction can significantly alleviate workers' overworks and burnouts, which lead to healthy working conditions. Construction industry hasn't seen much of progress in creating different designs and shapes merely due to the fact that it hasn't been fully automated. With automation, free form of designs and shapes can be created by using robots and computers. That is evident in auto industry and aerospace. In conventional construction method, to create a form, concrete must be poured into a mold known as formwork. This limits the creativity of architects to build unique shapes, but concrete 3D printing technology incorporates digital technology and application of material technology to create free-form construction without the use of formwork. Having the need to use formwork in traditional method of construction is the main reason the majority of buildings and constructions have rectangular shapes and forms, unless a building is bespoke, which would cost a lot to be built. These similarities make buildings look monotonous, dull, and boring. By using concrete 3D printing technology, more shapes such as curves, spheres, and numerous other forms can be created in less time, less costs, and easier than ever. By creating various styles of buildings and constructions, cities can become more beautiful and interesting, and new types of infrastructures that have been hard or impossible to create can become a reality in the future, when 3D printing technology would become prevalent in construction industry. The concrete 3D printing construction is still in its infancy. Most of the buildings and constructions we see in our cities all around the world are built using the conventional and traditional method of construction. However, one important fact must be taken into consideration, that with progress in technology and automation, most of the people would like to live in cities and urban areas year by year. According to the United Nations, by the year 2050, 68% of the world population will live in cities and urban areas. This event should warn legislators to find a prompt and effective solution to the housing crisis that will be worsened even more in the future.
All this week, we've taken you to cities along the West Coast to investigate homelessness in this country. From the beginning, we planned to show how much the problem has grown, but even we were shocked by the scale of the epidemic in the places we visited.
This is a warning from the past, to make sure you're learning from mistakes that you did last. Send me your letter when you're done, evaluating what your short life has become.
To tackle these problems, governmental organizations and municipalities around the world must set new rules and regulations to facilitate entry of new methods of construction such as concrete 3D printing technology. If we wish to see better quality of life and having cities with unique and futuristic character, the 3D printing technology could be the answer to those desires and ambitions.
Something new. I wanna see things I have never seen before. I'm tired of these city streets. I would go anywhere as long as I'm with you. You see, you're all I see. I wanna run away with you. I don't really care where to. Just wanna be alone with you. I wanna run away with you. Tell me that you want it too. Just wanna be alone with you. I try my best to concentrate. I try my best to keep my mind and my head straight. I've been feeling as of late that all I wanna do is go